And I'd like to invite Pastor Eric to come forward to help me with the message for all ages this morning. Thank you. It is so wonderful to be able to see all of you here this morning, to be able to gather with all of you and to be together in worship. I know in 2020 and 2021, it was kind of, there were some lonely periods, I think, for all of us in each of our lives, right? I mean, there were times where the only people we saw were the people who were in our house. That hissing's happening again. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. We're waiting for the shipping container with all the new equipment to be, get across the sea, but it hasn't gotten here yet. Where was I? Anyway, it is just so lovely to be able to see so many of you, to be able to get out there in the community and to spend time with people, because it can be hard. It can be hard being alone sometimes. Let's have some example. What are some things just in life in general that are either hard to do alone, are scary to do alone, or maybe are just not fun to do alone? Raise your hands. Yes. Say it. Eat. Yes, it is. It's definitely possible to eat alone, but it's definitely not. It's not always as fun. It's not as enjoyable. It's a communal experience, right? Somebody else. Cleaning. Yes. Cleaning alone, speaking as someone who lives alone, it'd be a lot better if I had 2, 3, 4, or 5 other people to help me out with that, at least with the dishes. Somebody else. To mourn. Oh, yes, absolutely. When we lose someone or when we're grieving something, it's hard to do that by ourselves. It's always nice, whether it's just to have someone to check in on us briefly, or someone to be with us all the time to help us carry that load. Somebody else, raise your hand. Yes? Being ill, absolutely. When you're sick, it's very difficult to take care of yourself. And it's so helpful to have other people, even if they're just making you food and leaving it on your doorstep, or helping you get to the hospital or doctor's appointments or any number of things. It's so much easier to be ill when you've got somebody looking out for you. Another example. Playing pickleball, yes. Best of luck playing pickleball by yourself. One more, raise your hand. Yes. Holidays, absolutely. Holidays are one of the more difficult times to be alone for. I know I myself, and I'm sure there are many among you who've had to have a Christmas alone, or perhaps worse, a Thanksgiving alone. Those are times where you want to be gathering with family or with friends, and it's possible to do alone, but it's harder sometimes, right? Another thing that's difficult and certainly not as fun, but it's almost impossible to do alone, is to lead a worship service. And that's why I'm so glad that I have Pastor Eric to... Is he... Eric? I did ask him to be here to help with this. Now I'm alone. Wendell, you're right. You're absolutely right, Wendell. I'm not alone. I'm never alone. I've got the choir right here. You've got my back, right? Got Wendell over here, who always picks up the slack. I've got Reverend Pat here, who was our reader. We've got deacons. I've got all of you worshiping with me together. I'm not alone. And even if this entire building was empty, which in 2020 and 2021, there was a good period of time where I was worshiping alone, me and my cell phone recording me. But even if there were no people in here, I could look at this cross, and it can remind me that God is not gone. Jesus is not dead. And if ever I feel alone and don't want to be, if ever I am alone and need someone by my side to hold me up, to help me, to guide me, to strengthen me, all I have to do is call on God ask God, and I will not be alone. I will not be forsaken. It is a beautiful thing to be reminded by the people in this church and by the cross in the front of it that I never have to be alone. I only have to be alone if I want to be and if I need to be. But when I need somebody to have my back, I've got you guys. I've got you guys. I've got that one too. Amen? Amen. Amen.